All right, all right.
Hello,
Welcome
hello.
everyone to episode 2 of the Hold the Line podcast, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. You are joined, as always, by myself, Ken Nobby, and So Bad Strange. Gentlemen,
Shalom.
how we doing? You guys
Feeling tired.
Feeling
recovering from the grind, huh?
extraordinarily tired. Yeah, but also extremely hyped. Like this, a wipe this soon is pretty exciting, in my opinion.
We're gonna
That
start with that. Start with the wipe. Is that what we're gonna talk about
that
first?
was very unexpected. Well, not only the wait, but obviously the two things come together. You've got the abrupt season end, which we didn't expect, and then the wait back to back. So yeah, Josh, did you have any preliminary insight, or did you suspect this was going to happen as quickly as it did? The not the wait, but the end of the season.
Actually, not at all. I was totally caught off guard and kind of blown away by how fast the season ended because I had just gotten into High Roller and I'd had this really incredible stream where I put on a 10-minute delay to stop the stream snipers, and I dropped into High Roller Goblin, and I basically inted 20 to 30,000 golden gear in order to learn the map and understand each module and kind of have a step in the right direction. And then I was determined to become the rank 1 Warlock in HR Gabo. And I basically, over the course of 2 days, climbed up to number 4. But then suddenly they said, season's over in 2 or 3 days. So I just basically abandoned hope at that point because the other guy had me by a 60 or 70
Mm.
kills, that is. And so I'm sure I could have done it if I did 24-hour streams, but it just wasn't worth it for me. So a little bit caught out by the fact that the season ended, and also now that we're going to wipe. I mean, it makes sense, but I let me ask Nate, do you feel like there's going to be more than just a wipe? Is this a balancing wipe, or are they actually going to drop content?
I think it's just gonna be a season. I think they already did their big balance patch yesterday. I don't think we're gonna get another big balance patch on Monday. That'd be a lot in a very short period.
Hmm.
But how do you feel overall just about the wipe? Like, how do you feel personally about it?
Well, I like it. I think that because of the economy issues and the balancing issues, it gives everybody a clean slate. I just think that, at least on my end, when I put up the patch notes on YouTube, one of the major complaints was from the casual players who were like, I just got to level 15, or like, I just got all my perks unlocked and now I have to do it all again. Are the wipes supposed to be this short? And so I know that wipes are supposed to be 90 days. And so this was kind of a surprise, but I like it. I think that there were some major economic imbalances early game, and now as we're seeing, things are selling for extraordinarily outrageous prices. Like I've seen legendaries that didn't even roll well selling for like 6,000. So
Mhm.
obviously, the only thing I can say about that is that at least the newer players, if they get decent items, they can sell them for a lot. I've been telling my chat that a ton. If you get an old rusty key from a worm, or if you get a golden key from a champion, you just basically bought 3 or 4 full sets for yourself, like really well rolled greens if you wanted to. And so it's good. It's good and bad.
Yeah, I think the wipe is totally justified. The RMTers and the cheaters really screwed over the economy early, and we just need a hard reset. I'm a little salty because like we were all planning for like a 3 month season, and we were like pacing ourselves for that. Like certain players were pacing themselves to like grind over 3 months, and then they got like sideswept out of nowhere, and they feel a little slighted. But I think it's totally necessary just for the health of the game.
Hmm.
Agreed, especially given the number of changes that they've been making, that they're likely to make. Um, the the fighter nerfs, man. I was one of those people, guilty as charged, of screaming PDR. It's too much. They may have gone overboard. Like, not only did they nerf fighters a lot, but then they buffed Ranger and pretty much all projectiles and armor pen. And it's like, it's changed the game radically. I played my Ranger today for about an hour for the first time since the patch, which was, I'm losing track of my days. Was it yesterday or Monday? When was that patch?
I think it
A
was
lot.
yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. And the
Yeah.
Ranger feels great. he feels extremely strong. So anyway, before we go ahead.
Well, I was about to say my one gripe with Iron Mace as in general, like I think they're a very good company. They handle the game very well. But my one gripe with them has always been they always go overboard whenever they nerf or buff something, either direction. Either they over nerf something into the ground or they over buff something into oblivion. And I feel like when they do buffs or nerfs, they should just do it in smaller increments because they just go hard.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Yep.
That's what I want to say.
I agree with that. I feel like Fighter was gutted and Rogue was kind of Rogue is gutted for the build that people wanted for, and also that jump height debuff on movement speed and the jump height period. And so both of those really got slammed. And then what you said about Rangers surprised me the most. Is Rangers are definitely the best class in the game right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, they feel really strong.
Absolutely punch through everybody and everything, and like there was, I think the fighter nerfs were enough, but then to add penetration on all ranged weaponry, especially the fact that this has always been the meta, but it was like underseen and underused, was just swapping things out of your inventory, because you can just put a crossbow in where your other crossbow is and now shoot another bolt as though you instant reloaded essentially.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing a lot of people just hot swap crossbows or crossbow longbow or crossbow longbow, and they just deleted you. And ranger traps, which I've been hollering for, please God, remove the minigame. I'm amazed that the minigame survived. And I think maybe there wasn't enough people being vocal about it, but now that Rangers are the strongest class, I think it will become much more vocal.
I hate that minigame.
For 7 gold, you just killed somebody no matter what their gear set is. As long as you are looking at the trap and they step in that trap, that player is dead.
Almost 100%.
Yeah, that's basically a one-shot.
Yeah, I watched like Spot Hunter's solo high roller Goblin Cave runs, and he just goes in with unexaggerated just 15 traps. He just traps every doorway, every pathway, turns off all the lights. I'm like, man, this must be so annoying to play against. And the funny thing is, there are other rangers in the same raid doing the same thing. There's like 35 traps in one raid. I'm like, just being some poor cleric playing in that raid must be absolutely miserable. They have to like maybe add a trap cap or something, remove the minigame. I don't know. Being able to spam those traps is cancer.
It is toxic.
Yeah, they may have to remove stacking. Trap stacking might have to go away.
You couldn't have trap stacking, and now trap stacking is back, both in your inventory, and corpses still get in the way. If you put it on the corpse and you look down, it's going to say have to loot. Also, it's hard to play the minigame when you're getting savaged. You're getting hit by a triple shot, and you're like, holy fuck, I hope that red thing comes up soon. And if you push spacebar and it's yellow and you think it's red, you try to start moving, and now you just reset the minigame. It's too much, man. That's way too much.
You're panicking at the play minigame, getting shot at. It's like the worst situation to be in Dark and Darker.
My favorite is when I phantomize and I'm in the trap and I'm just in the other real plane, unable to do anything, taking free damage. And I'm like, I wish I hadn't just pushed Phantomize. I'm just going to sit here and eat damage for the next 5 seconds.
And if you die while you're in that trap while Phantomized, you fall through the earth. They have to fix that.
Yeah.
Funny
bug. I don't know if they fixed it, but I saw it for the first time, not on the trap. But I Phantomized to chase somebody, and then he casted Hellfire, and then Phantomized into his own Hellfire, and he just he dropped down into another layer.
If you die while Phantomized, you just fall through the earth. It's actually really fucking funny.
And it's gone.
To the Shadow Realm. Yep.
Exactly.
So before we get too much further along, we have a congratulations that is very much in order. Last week when we chatted during episode 1, Ken was menacing the top of the leaderboards, but now that the season is officially over, we can say that Ken is officially the #1 wizard for the first season of Early Access and #3 overall killer.
Yeah, we did it, boys.
In the world.
So we got
well done.
In the world.
It was rough. It was rough. Thank you. Easy.
Like
it was
slow
easy.
clap is in order.
Oh, dude, it was painful. That last day, I got off stream. I was about to go to bed, and there's this guy, some guy I haven't heard of, some wizard. I think he's a Korean wizard player, and he just got like 50 kills in an hour. And I was about to go to bed, and I was like, oh no, we can't go to bed now. I texted my friends, like I put a squad together. And I'm like, we have to do one last push because I can't let this guy pass me last minute. I'll feel so bad. And I did my first ever gameplay session off stream, but we did it. We secured it. We got there. But
Yes,
thank you guys.
sir. Absolutely.
Deserved once again. It's funny in the Elite Discord because they're going through and they're purging everybody who didn't make it. Because basically, if you make top 100, let's say, and then you do not make it again within like a 3-month period, or like let's say a 2-season period,
Yeah.
you're kicked out of the Discord. And so right
Wow.
now, especially because of how fast the season was, we did a big vote to decide who, whether or not they should be kicked, and it was decided that they should be removed. And
Wow.
so there's
Purge
there
'em,
was
purge
a
'em.
purging of the heretics from the Elite Discord.
It's
Just
so
as
funny.
They didn't
savage
take
as
a
the
week
game
off work,
itself.
they're out. That's
Hey,
right.
It's apropos.
They
When in
go
Rome.
again.
Indeed.
See you next season.
See you next season.
Which is coming up
Hopefully
soon.
it's 3 months.
Yeah,
And hopefully we
hopefully.
get quests. I don't think we will. I agree with Nate. I'm not sure if Monday's going to be a content patch, but it would be really cool if it was.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all want that, but I just don't think it's in the cards. They did a lot.
They did do
Yeah.
a lot.
So
Yeah, I
overall,
think-
like, what are your favorite things about the patch? Like, say one good thing and one bad thing about the patch. Let's go down the line. Maybe starting with so bad.
Good thing. I think fighters needed to be nerfed. They were heavy-handed, especially the Falchion. My stream knows I've been complaining about the Falchion since day one. I told you guys last week that I prayed that the Falchion was nerfed, and it was nerfed. So
Yep.
that's not only good, but also necessary and amazing. And one bad thing about the patch,
The fact that you have to think about it is a good sign.
yeah, like I mean, I think Rangers are too strong now, but I think that'll be fixed in time. And like you said, it'll probably be heavy-handed when it does happen. But yeah, all good for me.
Hell yeah.
I feel like everything we talked about, they did. Everything
Mhm.
from last week's podcast that we said like maybe would change. I feel like they did all of that and then more.
Yeah, they really addressed the right issues.
Mhm.
What about you, Arcane?
So I like the way they addressed double jump. I think that was the right way to do it. They didn't put it on a cooldown. They simply made it so that it was more difficult to use in the heat of combat and prevent rogues from just being unhittable, but still allow them to use double jump ad nauseum, right? Which I don't know if I actually said what they did, but they put a slow on double jump for those of you that are watching that didn't read through all the patch notes. Yeah, I think that was the right move. On the flip side, I was shocked when they removed, and they talked about this on the Tuesday pod, our brotherhood podcast, our brothers in arms over at the Darkest Hour. They talked a lot about this. I was really shocked they took away the hand crossbow from the rogue, because I feel like that was the class that it was made for from the beginning, and that was really odd. But I'm guessing they'll bring it back once they figure out how to deal with the buffs for it. So if they can deal with poison and rupture, figure out a way to prevent that abuse on the hand crossbow, then maybe they'll bring it back. But that was shocking to me.
I understand why they did the crossbow nerf. I think it was pretty extreme, but I feel like it was a result of double jump being so strong. I feel like these rogues got double jump and they found all these weird cheesy spots on maps, on the high roller maps, on the crypt maps, on the ruins maps, and they just get to a spot where nobody can get to, and they could just spam crossbow bolts at you from elevation and just kind of ruin a match. So they kind of bit the hand that feeds them by cheesing spots and abusing the crossbow. And Iron Mace was like, we're not having it. We're getting rid of it until we
I
figure this
agree.
out. It sucks
There
though,
was-
because I like the crossbow is really cool. It's actually the
Mhm.
hand crossbow is so sweet, and it was actually a lot of fun when a crossbow used it, or a rogue used it ethically. But yeah,
I
unfortunately.
agree. I think it'll come back with a perk, because rogues really are in a solid state for perk wise. Like they have so many options and so many cool choices. And I could see it coming back pretty quick. They just need a perk, and then obviously they nerfed height and movement speed on double jump. So it'll probably come back in time. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But yeah,
It is
I
our
agree with you.
constant
They
planes.
had jetpacks and they were fighter planes and they were just flying around shooting everything.
Oh yeah, that was annoying. I think my favorite thing from the patch was obviously the extension of time on the high roller lobbies. It was such a big issue. Not being able to have enough time to play the game. Now we have 3 extra minutes on high roller. Super huge. And then the Din of Darkness nerfs. I think everybody is happy with the Din of Darkness nerfs. I'm not sure how much you played against it, but I like the high level and high roller. All the top squads were just abusing the scaling on Din of Darkness and one-shotting people through walls. Very unfun. So I'm super happy that Iron Mace heard us
Yep.
and fixed it swiftly because it was a problem.
Yep.
And my least favorite change from the note, God, there's so many good changes. It's crazy to think.
Yeah, I like the ones you brought up. Those are really good map changes.
You know what? They made a quality of life buff by making silver coins stack in stacks of 30 instead of 25. Just
Yeah.
get rid of silver coins. Get rid of them.
No,
Get
no,
rid of them, dude. Or give me
no.
a silver coin market. Give me something to do with them. They're just annoying pieces of trash in my inventory.
They're better than a Bengal. I like them.
No, they're not.
They are. They are.
They're not.
They
Get
are.
them out of
When I
here.
finally remember that I have them in my stash and I go to turn them in, I'm like, oh, 20 gold. Like it's like
Dude.
finding $1 in your jeans pockets or something like weeks later.
Christ, dude. I wouldn't mind a separate merchant that just sells things. Like, what if the goblin merchant only took silver coins? Like,
Oh, that's such a good
Ooh,
suggestion.
That'd be
I like
cool.
that.
That's
That
actually
would
really
be cool.
That
Oh,
one's
hold
free Iron
on.
Mace.
Wait, then that would also make like a whole market for silver coins
Mm-hmm.
because you could, you might want to buy them at 5 gold coins each.
Invest in
I'm
silver,
gonna write
baby.
that down. That's a really good suggestion.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I dig
Yeah,
it.
I got it.
Yeah, maybe one of the best things in the patch that I didn't, I overlooked the very first bullet as I went back to the patch notes, was adding a character slot so that there's actually room for every single character class now. I know for most of the sweaty pro players, that's probably not going to mean a whole lot, but a lot of people are going to try to run. I think the further we get into the game, the more people are going to run every single class, or at least want to try it out. They're going to want to have a slot for every character class. So that was a great.
I want 24. I feel like stopping at 8 was just that barely helped me. I need 2 more sheets.
I need multiples.
I will buy them for triumph stones. I like having one class and then like 3 of it, and then having 3 subclasses. That way I can stack all my gear. But probably what would help alleviate my issues with the amount of character slots is more stash space, of course, which we talked about last week as well.
Yeah, everybody wants more stash. Who doesn't want more stash space?
Yeah.
Or at least make it so I could trade between my characters for a fee without having to bother somebody to help me transfer items, because it's a chore.
It is
managing 5 characters.
That is a perfect segue into the questions that SDF put out in the Dev Q&A channel last week, and there were, I think, 16 that he addressed from the Discord that he had collected, and then our own So Bad Strange also submitted some questions from his audience, and he answered those as well. One of those questions was around that exact topic, and the way I interpreted that response was that don't hold your breath for any stash changes anytime soon. Like, SDF seems very standoffish about that for the time being.
Yeah, sad as well. I think it's going to be tied to quests, like we talked about last week. But even if it's not, I understand why they wouldn't want to do it. But I think that at the top end, we all just change gear and we trade, and our audiences help us, and our Discords help us, and it's really hurting everyone else way more than it's hurting us in the end. And it's also a massive annoyance for me to have to, if I actually lose 1 or 2 gear sets, to then go sit in trade chat for like an hour to find enough deals to get back into the dungeon. And I think from a casual standpoint, it's even from a hardcore standpoint, it's way too long. Like when I finally make my set and I finally get back in the dungeon, I'm like, God damn, release me. Let me play the video game. So either stash space more, or trade between characters, or we need an auction house, or all 3, to be honest.
Yeah, something just so we can move items faster, whatever it may be. But I feel like if I want to log in and play Dark and Darker right now, I have to do like an hour and a half of inventory management and selling and buying stuff before I just get to play the game. Which I don't think that's what they want. I don't think that's what anybody wants. There has to be something, but we'll deal with it for now. It's just kind of a pain in the ass. I'm like relieved that it's wiping Monday, because I'm gonna have empty stashes again to fill with more coins. I can't wait.
I don't know. I like being rich. It's nice to be able to afford anything, and I've been giving away 1 golden key every day at 10 p.m. Pacific on my stream, and then I go to bed right after. So like, it's been nice.
That's awesome. I love that.
Well, let me play devil's advocate against that position here. So you guys said you're spending a lot of time shopping and waiting.
Mhm.
I'm on the opposite side of that equation. I've spent a total of 10 minutes. Let's go 15 minutes just to be safe. 15 minutes total in trade chat since the game dropped in early access. I refuse to spend more than about 1 minute at a time. And that's selling. I have bought 0 items off a trade. Now, granted, we're not working with the same amount of loot in the background, nor do we have the same objectives, probably. But is it fair to say that maybe a lot more of the casual gamers are probably not going to go to the effort to build a perfect kit? They would be maybe more towards my side of the aisle, where I would rather go in the dungeon and even get killed in grays and whites 2 or 3 times, because on that 4th raid, chances are I'm getting out, and then I'm going to have some decent greens, maybe some blues, and I'm going to have a little bit of loot, and then maybe I could just go find 1 piece of gear. Because, well, yeah, I just don't like the wait. I guess I don't need to over pontificate here. Like, the wait kills me. I can't stand it. I would much rather just go die with lesser gear.
So
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. So you do want like an auction house or more stash or something, because you don't even want to deal with the current system.
Well, I just question whether or not it's necessary. See, I'm fine not having top tier gear every raid, but I'm also not grinding for first place on a leaderboard. But there are also times where I'm trying to achieve a certain objective, right? Like if I'm playing with you guys and we're going down to hell and we're trying to beat a boss, I have to have a minimum amount of gear, I feel like, to do that. Now, Lich, maybe there's an exception there. You could probably do Lich and weights. But, you know, if you're trying to get something done, like HR bossing especially, or if you're going in with the express purpose of getting a bunch of player kills in HR, then you have to be geared. But I'm just wondering how much of the player base is going to be perfectly fine just rolling whites and grays and going in and trying to find a bunch of stuff rather than trade for it.
So I think you're more so talking about on the buying end of the spectrum. But
Mhm.
let's just say maybe you had a good night. Your squad was on point, and maybe you just got out 3, 4, or 5 times in a row. Doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it does happen. All of a sudden, your bank is full, your inventory is full, and now you're like,
Mhm.
I don't want to vendor these awesome items, these really good
Right.
items that people want. I feel like I have to spend 30 minutes on auction house selling it for cheap, just to sell it cheap, just to move it.
Yep.
Where I wish I could just put it on an auction house or break it down for materials or whatever it is, or just had more stash space to throw it into a bank or transfer it to an alt, deal with it later.
Yep.
It's just it just it punishes winning. If you win too much, all of a sudden you're burdened with too many things.
Mhm.
And
It's
then if
not
you're
even
out of
like it's a
gear,
lot. Like it's
yeah.
only like Nate said it. And the other part is that a lot of the player base is still learning. Like I would say a way larger percentage of the player base is still learning, and now they have to deal with all of us actually going in there geared. So there's definitely some gear disparity issues and some learning curve issues at play this wipe. But I think that at some point, players are going to get better and they're going to get good and they're going to make it out of raids alive. And at that point, like Nate said, it is going to be an issue because you don't even have to survive that many for your stash to fill up. You only have to survive like 3 or 4.
Yeah, you could hold like 5 fully juiced gear sets in your bank, like
Mhm.
maximum.
Yep.
So all it takes is you going on a 5 loss streak to be zeroed out, which I think is
Yeah.
kind of a good and bad thing.
Right.
But then refilling takes so much time. It's I don't
Hmm.
know. They're
Yeah.
just
Like,
we just need a little more. We don't need a lot more space. We just need a little more space. It's a
yeah.
little bit. Just give me something. Give me a gold chest, man. Give her an auction house. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me a wallet. I don't something. Just something.
I lost 3 in a row. And I feel like, especially the other day when I won for 9 hours straight, I lost 3 in a row. And I was like, ah, I was like, all my stash, like, sure, like I have stash space, but also, like, I was like, man, if I wanted to rebuild these sets, I would have to sit in trade guild for like 3 hours, if we're being realistic.
And sometimes I like doing that, but I don't like it. I don't like feeling like I have to do that. Sometimes
Hmm.
I'm in the mood to just sit and trade chat, chill out, drink a coffee,
Yeah.
look at some cool purples, troll some people in trade window, which is fun by the way. Just like RPing in the trade window with them. like talking like an NPC. It's great. I wish when you open to trade with somebody, I wish you had VoIP with them. I feel like that would be really fun.
Oh
But
man,
that's a topic
that
for
could be
another day.
dangerous. Oh yeah, that
That
Ah,
could be dangerous.
it could be. You're right. Definitely. Anything about it definitely could be dangerous.
yeah.
But like when they're like offer, I'm like, I don't know. If I was like voice talking, I feel like I could haggle way better via VoIP if I than I could via text.
100%.
King Rat loves text. No, King Rat loves text.
Yeah.
People invent little stories, and people come in RP and tell me about how their whole family was killed by rogues, and now like they had to become a rogue to get they had to become what they hated. It's really nice.
Mhm.
They're just giving discounts.
It's not mandatory VoIP, but you just have the option. Just have the
All
option.
right, all right. Yeah. I think if it's optional VoIP for Trade Guild, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be
There'd
cool.
be some fun content there.
What else did you guys take away from the Discord questions that SDF answered? The non so bad strange questions. Let's stick to the original 16 and then we'll get to Josh's questions here shortly. Anything else
Yeah,
stand out?
You go first, so bad because I actually got to catch up on this.
I read them out loud on my stream, but I would have to go look again as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Just give me some, or like
Just throw one. Yeah.
grab
right.
one or two and throw it out.
I'll skip through them. So one was, will
Okay.
you add PayPal? Who cares? Will you add a friends list? That's big.
Yeah, I mean, we already used to have that, and that's definitely coming back. And I think now that it's coming out on Steam again at some point, and then a console release, especially if those are compatible with each other, I mean, that is going to be definitely mandatory
Yep.
and just a super good feature. Plus,
Should
with
be
Originally, they
guilds,
would.
yeah, with guilds coming at some point, like all of that stuff comes together to make nice cohesive communities.
Right. Yeah, it should happen. No surprise there. Definitely needed. What will the quest system look like? SDF really didn't go into too much detail. He just said, you're going to have to satisfy the needs of the merchant and you'll get better rep with them. Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Permanent season rewards. He said, of course. Solo maps in the future? Yes, absolutely. Solo dungeons are established as a piece of content that is now unquestionable. We plan to provide more
real
diverse
quick.
dungeons. Yeah.
So just since you brought that up, do any of us feel like Dark and Darker is kind of spreading itself thin
Maybe.
with like solo Goblin Caves, High Roller Goblin Caves, Ruins,
Yep.
Crypts, High Roller Crypts? Do we feel like we're kind of all different regions for each? Do we feel like we're kind of spreading the player base a little thin here?
Yep. I was playing, so I'm old, so I get up and I play in the morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. And I played Ruins a lot solo this morning. I waited the max amount of time for each game, and it was never a full lobby. I was always waiting the
that's
full
rough.
3 minutes.
I think part of that also is the fact that it's going to wipe. So, like with all wipe
Yeah,
games, you have
sure.
the people who are coming in, to like blow their best sets, and other people who are like, oh, like I lost my best sets. I might as well wait for Monday for the wipe.
Yep.
But yes, I agree. I actually just added that to my notes. I think we need to consolidate HR regionally. Like the United States needs to have its own HR. Europe needs an HR because right now there's how many choices? I don't even know. 10.
Mhm.
But
I think they got to
Yeah.
rotate the maps. I think you can have one HR at a time. I think what Apex does is really good. You have one solo map, you have one group map, and one HR map, and rotate them. Although
I
I
that,
guess
actually.
I guess
yeah, it's not bad.
you still probably need to have solo HR available, especially if you're going to expand the library. But you never go beyond one HR map.
Or what you could also do is you could just boost one of them every 3 hours. One of them is worth 25% more loot, or like you get 100 luck if you drop into that particular HR over the next 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. But Ken's
but-
point is well taken.
Yeah,
Like I don't
I
want to
was-
see
I
it
was
spread too
thinking-
thin.
I was thinking maybe you could just do just the base crypt maps, right? Just so you can have solo queue crypts, duo queue crypts, trio queue crypts, quadra queue if we ever get there, and then you could just have like the Goblin Caves and the Ruins be like weekend events. Like, oh, we're doing High Roller Goblin Caves this weekend, or during this
Mhm.
time slot we're doing High Roller is going to be the Ruins map, but like
Yep.
the baseline game will be crypt, solo, duo, trio, and they can bounce accordingly. I'm not sure if that's a good idea or if that's a hot take. It's just something that came to mind.
Interesting.
like it.
I kind of actually like that. Yeah.
Yep.
That would also familiarize a lot of people with the map, and the fact that we would have a solo crypt would be just super cool. And then most players would just evacuate before Inferno. But I mean, we know that it's possible to solo those bosses. So that would be. I mean, you could also weaken them. If it's like if it is solo crypt, you just make that boss have two-thirds or a third of its current stats or
Mhm.
health pool. Yeah, I like that a lot.
We all agree that Crypt is probably the best map they have. I think it is.
I agree. It's just maybe I'm biased because it was the original. It feels like home every time I go in there. It's I don't know what it is about that map. It is fantastic. I've really come to appreciate Ruins a lot. I never thought I'd say that after playtest 5. I did not like it, but now I'm really digging the map design on Ruins quite a bit, and I'm not playing Rogue on it either. Goblin Caves, there's something about it I don't enjoy map design wise. And it's not just the verticality. The environment doesn't appeal to me as much. But yes, Ken, to your question, Crypts wins for sure. Hands
God,
down.
I love the Goblin Cave. I live there all day, every day, and I feel like I will not get bored of it because I know when I drop in, I will 100% in the next 8 minutes have somewhere between 3 to 8 PvP fights,
Yep,
and
that's the
they're
best
almost
part.
always going to be equal
Yep.
as far as like players concerned, and it's also way less third partying because there's less 3-man teams sort of rampaging around and then like protecting their modules because it forces a ton of movement across the transitions and the modules. So there's usually not at the end of the map as many teams left. Typically, there's only like 3 people
3.
left,
Yep.
if that, at the end. And probably as the player base gets better, that will also change. But for now, I rarely get third partied in there. Like we have a ton of 1v1s, but I don't know. I love that map. I also think that objectively, it is one of the best places to make money because it's so small and there are a ton of mini bosses. There's like
Hmm.
there's like 4 mini bosses, a rare chance for a worm. There's a couple secret rooms that all have lion's heads. Like I know that place prints money
Yeah, it does.
compared to the other maps.
Especially
And
if
I
you're a
think for
ranger right
solo
now.
players though, I think I said this last week too, but it's really hard to start there though. Like I don't recommend any of my audience, I tell them if you're solo and new, don't go goblin. Like it's actually really hard and super punishing. Just go ruins or crypt, even if you're alone, because at least you're just fighting like skeletons, big open spaces. Like in goblins,
You
sometimes you
can't
spawn and
rat
you're
very
like in a
well. Yeah.
box. Yeah, like you're in a box with mages and bola throwers and like you're dead.
Yep.
You're
I
dealt a
still
bad
die in
hand.
there in like good gear. Yeah.
You can hide all over the
So
place in Ruins. I agree. I would tell a
yeah,
new solo player,
you
it's
can't
got
hide
better
anywhere
loot.
goblins.
You can go to Ruins and just stay on the outskirts of the circle. You can collect some greens and blues, maybe even find a purple while you're in there, and you can make 200-300 your first, like you can be in all grays, go in there and make 200-300 and be ready to run whites for 10 straight runs even if you fail, so
It's definitely good for money. But do we think that's good for the economy as a whole overall?
I think it
Being
pales
able
in
to just
comparison to the
Yeah.
other economic issues that we have on the
Yeah,
higher
no,
end.
I
yeah.
agree with that. I agree with that.
But
I personally, especially after listening to the Darkest Hour today, I fully disagree with the vocal majority of elite and HR players. I think the loot in those places needs to be toned way down, not
down.
boosted. Down. I have been in there for not a lot of times, and every time I go there, I come out with an absolute giga amount of blues and purples, and I'm not even bossing. That place just prints blues and purples, and the gear disparity between grays and greens, let's say, is like kind of close-ish. But when you start getting into blues, purples, and above, you're just one-shotting everybody else. And there's still 3 more tiers of rarity above the purple. You still have legendary and uniques and named artifacts. And so I think that like you guys that are going HR, especially because we know without a doubt that teams are going to be racing to level 15 on Monday and they're going to be trying to get into HR empty so they can boost and get ahead and get gold piles and whatnot. Those players that are boosting are making like 10K on gold piles right now. You just need some resourcefulness and like a troll's blood or some potions, and you just out heal the swarm and then you leave. So those players are going to be extraordinarily rich the first couple days, if not the entire wipe. And I just think that HR it prints too much money, man. both like I almost feel like there shouldn't be a gold pile. Like fighting the boss already gives you 4 usually really high tier items. I don't think there should be a treasure pile as well. You're fighting for other players' gear and you're fighting the boss, and all the chests and all the monsters just print like greens, blues, and purples.
So just to touch on your point, so as probably the player with the most high roller experience here, the majority of the money you make, at least I make an high roller, is not from mobs. It's from the players. You kill players, you take their gear, you sell it. Now that's like how I'm making my money.
Mm-hmm.
There's no time to be killing race and skeleton champions and looting skeletons and boxes. The other way you make money is obviously killing the boss and hitting the loot pile. And I agree. I think the loot pile might be a little too much. I feel like maybe how you would fix that is maybe just make it so it can only be hit X amount of times. Like, so
Yeah,
you go to go
I
pile,
like
it could be
that.
hit 10, 15, whatever number you decide on. But if you pick a number, you stick to it, and you basically capped out at that. So you just can't go down there race and hit it 100 times before the circle gets you.
Yep, once per
Mhm.
player.
And also, you're talking about the people rushing to high roller, rushing level 15 so they can get uncontested bosses. I think you could easily fix that by just time gating high roller for 3
Yes.
days or whatever. So that's an easy
Yeah.
fix. I don't know if they're going to do it. That's an easy fix.
That is a really easy fix. Actually, that I'm gonna add that as well. Like,
Or make it
I'm gonna
diminishing
set
returns.
that
That's
to
your other
devs
option.
immediately.
You could say that
Gate
it's
high roller for like 3 days after the wipe. That's actually an amazing suggestion.
diminishing
Because they already
returns
get the
would
leaderboard,
probably
so-
achieve that as well, Josh. Like if you said each time you kill the boss, you get less and less good loot.
Yeah, but I don't know if DR works because then people aren't gonna want to go bossing, and then like they're just gonna be rampaging around PvPing. So like there has to be like some. I don't know. Like my thing is like people like Orlanthe are complaining to the devs that he's killed the HR boss 100 times and he only has a 9% like unique drop rate. 9% sounds really high to me,
It
considering
sounds
how
high,
strong that gear
Yeah,
is.
that sounds great. Why are you
That
complaining?
Yeah.
That's good.
gear
Right.
is insanely good,
Yep.
man. Like you for one unique, you can basically buy like 20 sets of high rolled greens.
Right.
I
And
only
so
got
we
7
need to,
uniques
like,
today.
Right.
Ah.
we gotta like press it down so there's less of a gear gap. Like gear should be good, but like at least for me right now, I know when I walk in there in purples, like let's say Goblin Cave, I fear nothing. And I'm only in like misrolled purples. But if you gave me gear, I can't even imagine.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I also feel like there needs to be some sort of like a way. Maybe normals need a like you can't bring anything above blue, let's say, into normals. I don't know. Like that's not like the best idea saying it out loud, but at the same time,
So this was a
it's
topic of
horrible to learn right
conversation last
now.
night. Yeah.
Yeah, like I went in with my friends. Like I play a lot of solos, but I went in with like Odin and my buddy. Anyway, we went into normal crypt, and like in the box next to us was guys in artifact gear, and they just came in and one shot all of us. And I was like,
Yeah.
cool game.
Yeah.
No, I've been saying
And-
it for a while. There should be for normal, there should be a gear cap, and there should be a gear requirement for high roller. And you can get rid of the high roller fee if you do that. I feel like you should have a maxed out gear score for normals and a bare minimum requirement to get into high roller. So you don't have naked rats in high roller, and you don't have sweaty Olanthes in normals.
So
And
what's
better
the
all around? I think.
what's the angle for not wanting naked people running around HR? Is it for their own good or is it for the rest of the players?
So all the naked people in HR, they're usually rogues, right? And basically,
Mhm.
they just grief the entire lobby. They just go in, they risk nothing. They pay their 50 gold anti fee, and they have everything to gain. They're out
Mhm.
there pickpocketing people, which is fun, but they're not risking anything. They're just going in with absolutely nothing,
That's
and
fair.
they
Yeah.
they'll just rat around the entire time and steal a portal, and then maybe now I died a swarm for it, or maybe I'm resting because I'm a wizard and they're naked, risking nothing, by the way, and they kill me because they're just stealth and I'm resting and
Yeah.
risk nothing. I feel like if you have the opportunity to kill me and take my 5,000 gold gear set, if I kill you, I shouldn't get nothing. I should get something from you
Yeah.
besides the
That's
+1 on the leaderboard.
That's fair. Yeah, I feel like it's going to need to trend in that direction where there's a cap and maybe even a minimum. But I hate the idea of a full-on gear scoring system where it's like, okay, well, if you have whites and grays, you're only going to be paired with people with whites and grays. Then it like negates the entire purpose of even getting gear in the first place, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm for some level of prevention in normals so that you don't have people running around with uniques, just curb stomping everybody. And what you said makes sense. So I think you kind of convinced me on maybe some kind of minimum for high rollers so that there is more risk from the people that are going in. Um, so they were talking about this on the Darkest Hour last night. They were of the opinion, the other take, Josh, not the one that you're talking about, where they said, increase loot, make it better. I think one of I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, give us more incentive to go. And I don't feel like that necessarily meant just give us better loot. What are some of the other things that would get your more casual player that might only be rocking 300 to 800 gold at any given time, other than just lowering the fee? I think they should lower the fee to 50 or 75 or make it dynamic. Like, depending on the demand for high roller, make it dynamic. If you need to get more people in, you can lower it all the way down to 25. Get people into high roller. But you got to have at least some gear on.
So I think I keep calling it a test. I know it's not a play test, but I think this test specifically had a unique problem because previously the incentive to get a high roller was sure loot, whatever, leaderboards, whatever. But high roller was fun. The fights were better.
Mm-hmm.
This playtest in particular, high roller, was way less fun than playing normals because of the time constraints, because of the map layout, because of the meta. It wasn't always about just getting gear previously. It was just about fights were better. High roller was fun. You wanted to test yourself. But now going to high roller just feels like it's not fun. I'd rather go play normals with the friends and get better
Yeah.
fights, get more fights, have more time to play the game. And high roller, it just doesn't feel like it this time. So they need a new map layout. The map layout is awful. Both the high roller maps are garbage. They have to redo them. No one's having fun. Have you played high roller at all, Arcane?
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, I made the leaderboard, man. We have the only
Oh yeah,
podcast where
I
all
saw. Oh,
three
yeah.
of the hosts were on the leaderboard, top 100 in every category at one point in time. Well, the first four, there's 6 categories. I always forget that there's page 2. But yeah, at one point I was top 100 bard in all 4 of the main 4 categories for a hot minute for about
Yeah,
6
the
hours on
crypt.
one day.
The crypt layout is horrendous. The center of the map is 4 rooms. It's the big wraith room with the wraith and skelly champion and all the mummies,
Yeah.
which is an okay room, but not
Mhm.
it's a hard one to clear. Then you have like the donut room, which is the ring with a million archers in it and a million mummies. Another one that's miserable to clear. And then you have the crisscross room with his a wraith, a skelly champion, 100 archers, a mage, another miserable room to clear. And then you have the church, which is like the best option of the 4.
Mhm.
Still, 15 archers, a skelly mage. It's just 100 axemen. And that's the center of your map. That is where the circle is ending 70% of the time in one of those 4 rooms, or like one of the connectors between.
Mhm.
And basically, you're scrambling to get to these rooms and like fighting mobs and getting jumped while you fight mobs. You don't have time to clear all the mobs, and it's creating a very unfun scenario in High Roller where I feel like the normal crypt layout is way more fun. The center of the normal crypt layout is the double bridge room, which is a very
Mhm.
open space, only a couple of mobs. You have
Yep.
Forest. Everybody loves Forest Square. Forest Square is the best place to fight on the map
Oh,
because it's like
Foursquare's awesome. Yeah.
this is a couple of mummies, a
Yeah.
couple of skeletons is fine, and it's open. People love fighting there. Like it's normal crypt is
Foursquare
so
is
much better.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody goes there just because like it's the funnest place to fight, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But
Yesterday, I turned off every single light in Foursquare, all of them. Like there wasn't a single candle lit, and there was like caped gamers in there and Ruby Silver, and there was like 2 squads behind me and like one on the other side. You just kept hearing all the gates like opening and closing, rotate. It was awesome, man. It was super fun.
Chen, do you feel like the high roller map needs to be bigger?
I don't know if it needs to be bigger because it's a fine size. It's just the layout is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Because like a lot of the best rooms they're at the edges of the map. Like there's so many
Right.
great rooms that are wasted because they're
Mhm.
at the edge, and all the awful rooms are in the center. It's just like, oh, what were they thinking? like I understand have a couple of hard rooms in the middle for like good loot and stuff for good mobs, but when all 4 of your rooms have wraiths and skelly champions and 100 archers,
Yeah.
it just fighting in those rooms against other like good players is miserable.
I think one of the main things is that it costs a lot of money in medicine and usually good gear to step into High Roller, and they are not the same maps, and they don't have the same monsters or the same layouts. Like a lot of times, you run into brick walls like the Matrix, like you just can't get out. They change the code, and so I really feel like a good 90% of the player base that's like, oh, I finally feel like I've practiced enough on this map. I can, effectively kill all the monsters. I'm getting kind of good. Like, my group's gonna try this. And they step in there and they probably get annihilated by either PvE or just rampaging PvPers. And then why would they want to go back at that point? Like they're like finally getting a decent survival rate and they finally got their gear set and it just got zeroed in like a blink of an eye. And that was my experience in HR Goblins as somebody who already has 1,000 hours. Like I was like, HR Goblins is awful. And so I don't know, man. I really feel like HR is pretty empty, and granted, a lot of it is leaderboard, right? And they turn up the leaderboards, and so a ton of the elite squads and a ton of the leaderboarding teams are like, I'm just not going to go back until the next season. But it is pretty empty in HR, and especially at end of wipe, it's surprising to me because now it seems like it would be a good time to go in there and practice, and
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter if you lose your gear score. But I haven't had a full HR lobby at all.
It's one thing to go into a map and like you die to players. You're like, okay, well they beat me. That's fine. Like I like say you're a normal player. You put on a good set with your friends. And you're like, we're gonna give it a shot. Go die to players. That's okay. But when you put on like some of your good stuff, you own a high roller, and you just get owned by a skelly axeman. You're like, I just lost my best stuff to PVE. This is unfun. I'm just gonna go play normals. Like maybe the incentive, maybe it is an incentive. Maybe just make the mobs easier in high roller. Maybe that's as simple as it is. More people would go. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And like my chat's saying that they miss having Coliseum on normal. And I think if we just, let's say we just got a surge of a player base, and like I said, they step into HR for the first time, and it's not only is it not the same map, but it's not the same anything. Like if you get Coliseum and you've never been to Coliseum before, you're probably just like,
Right.
where am I? And why is the circle forcing me into like an abyss filled with
Yep.
spiders?
That's where I ratted out. That's how I got on the leaderboard with my bard. I went in solo with my bard with all whites and greens. I got chased around the center of Coliseum, fell off the edge into the abyss, and then just ran around with the spiders for half the time. And then rogues were just falling down in there with me, thinking that they could get the jump as I was buffing, and I ended up getting a kill that way. But yeah, I just ratted it out.
Darkness.
Yeah, I just ratted it out on that map, but that map is absolutely brutal for sure.
Especially now, I can only imagine. I haven't been in there since the patch yesterday, but I'm sure Rangers must just be dominating that play space.
No, dude, Rangers are gonna be out of hand.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm scared.
Also, like Nate said, before they added more time on the clock and slowed the circle progression, probably there were way more people going in there pre-patch, and then they were getting stomped, and the map was moving way too fast, and now they don't want to go back. Like, even though the changes are really good, it's probably hard for them to want to go back.
It's kind of like me with ruins. Like I was scarred from last playtest and all the rogues ruining ruins. That I haven't gone back yet. I've heard good things. Everyone I talked to is like, ruins is a lot of fun, Nate. You should try it out.
Wait, you haven't been in ruins this wipe?
Bro, I have PTSD from last playtest.
All right. After the podcast,
yeah, you got to do it.
Step in there with fresh characters. Yeah. Let's make 3 Rangers actually, and just pew pew for a little bit.
Is there any Cobalt in that map or?
I actually don't know.
Yeah,
I've almost.
Gosh, I'm never looking for it. I want to see.
If you can't mine, I'm not going. That's all.
I only went in there for like 40 minutes. I think I did 3 or 4 runs, and it was only to kill the cockatrice. I just wanted to kill a monster that I'd never seen before, and I just ran around the map. I was like, "Where's this little dinosaur at?" And I finally found him, and I killed him like twice in a row. And I was like, "All right, like that's cool." And then I went back to Goblin. But yeah, like that. I think that map's a lot better now. But again, post nerf, I'm thinking about all the open spaces on that map and how strong Rangers must be.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it, boys. 3 Rangers go to ruins.
3 Rangers, 100 traps each. We're gonna have
I'm down.
Miserable.
I'm in for it. So speaking of Rangers, that is one. That's question 15 that SDF answered. When can we expect to see a quiver system? currently in development. So I could see that being pushed out before the next major content update. I could see that maybe even coming next Monday on Wipe. I could see the quiver system get pumped out.
Yeah,
That
I'm
would be
excited for quivers. I think it should take the cape slot though. I think so if a
that's a
ranger
good
wants to wear a
idea.
quiver, it should take up your cape slot.
That's
It
a
should
really good idea. Yeah.
it should have
Yeah.
stats, right? It should have stats and everything,
Yeah.
so they get stats
Mhm.
from it.
Yep.
But it would go in that slot.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, you could go even further, and you could do a bandolier for rogue throwing knives, or like a axe strap for barbarians or something. You know, so they
Mhm.
can hold more Franciscis.
Yeah, I like that too, actually, because it is kind of annoying going into a raid and just having your inventory full of throwing bottles or axes or arrows, obviously for the quivers for, but other things too.
Yeah.
Maybe an extension of your tool belt. I don't know. These are just ideas. I think that's not a bad idea though. I kind of like that, Sobi. Big brain.
Indeed. So the last question, I don't know if I skipped over any other really significant ones. Gifting the game. We talked about stash space. The personal player stats tab, I did gloss over that. Yes, please. I would love to see how bad I am. I want to see how many raids I could get through in an hour, just going in and dying in gray and white gear and immediately readying up for the next raid. Fail fast. That's what they tell me. Fail fast.
Yeah, personal stats will be fun. I like personal stats in Tarkov are one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
Because there's tons of players in Dark and Darker that don't grind the leaderboards, so they don't know what their stats are. But it would be cool to just open up a tab, be like, oh, I have this KD, I have this extract percentage. Oh, 80% of my kills are with drums. That's cool. Good to know.
Right.
Yeah, people want to know that stuff. That stuff's super important. And they
Yeah.
obviously they track stats. Like
yeah.
we see that they track stats, so they have the information. They just have to create an interface so we could see
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, I hope they give us lots and lots of data that we can mull around in, like map specific, like you said, weapon specific. Of course, number of raids, KDA, all that fun stuff would just be really, really cool to have. I'd just like to know how many raids I've actually run at this point. Like,
No, yeah.
I was trying to estimate how many, because I'm not on as much as you guys, but I've probably got 100 hours ish in after working and coaching and doing the family thing. It's like I feel like I've spent a ton of my free time playing the game, and I'd be curious to know how many raids I got in since EA started. That would be really, really cool. What would you guys guess? If you had to guess how many raids you've run since EA, what would be your spitball number?
Over 1,000.
Yeah,
I run Goblin Cave, and so that thing's like 6 to 8 minutes or less sometimes. So I must have I don't even know if we call it 10 an hour, and probably like at least 2,000.
It's funny.
I want to know how many centipedes I've killed.
Well, if we had the stats,
exterminated those things.
Yeah. Boss kills for sure. Mini boss kills would be awesome. I mean, they're tracking all the way down to every single monster, all the loot collected. Like they could really give us quite a bit. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I probably have over 1,000 raids. If I spent the same amount of time playing Tarkov, it'd probably be 50 raids. I hate
Probably
this
15
so
raids.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite was one of my viewers said that he watched me play through a whole entire match of Crypts and then go Inferno, and he's like, I just got a match right when you came out of Inferno. And I was like, oh my god, I remember those times. Trying to scav into streets. Wait all day.
One day we'll go back.
Yeah, if there are different times, I would love to do that, of course. I'm actually interested for as far as with the wipe coming. I'm not excited, but I'm like hopeful and interested in playing Starfield, the new Bethesda game. And so that's coming out just a few days after the wipe. So
we'll see.
We'll see if I have time for that.
I see you shaking your head, Arcane. What's that all about?
Nope.
No.
I just don't know. So, I set down Baldur's Gate 3 for Dark and Darker. So, and I was having a really good time with that game.
A different game though. But
different game. Yeah.
So Josh, out of all the
next?
questions, out of all the questions that you asked, I don't know if we had time to go through them all. They were really good, and SDF made it a point to say they were, and I quote, quality question that you submitted to him. Out of all the ones that he answered, what stood out to you?
I mean, I feel like, especially, I'm sure Nate can back me up on this. Coming from internal till now in PT1 and 2, and just seeing all of these different changes, and they might not be super specific with some of their answers, but just we know with the broad strokes, all these things that we're going to get, like the Kuma Dragon Raid, and then the quest system that's now going to be tied to vendors and reputation. And then they said all these items that we're kind of just selling are probably going to be quest items.
Yep.
I just think all of that stuff, and like the idea of Guild Wars and bringing the tournament series back, it's not that anything specific stands out. It's just that every time they answer questions or every time they talk about future content, it's always positive. And it's like, sure, they might have to nerf stuff, or they might have to, like, they're a little heavy handed. It's always something good, and we're always going forward. And I love that they're not afraid to take risks, because the main thing for me is all the games that I've played, like recently and over the last couple of years, they don't take risks. And Iron Mace takes huge fucking risks, and I'm so excited that it's paying off. And like I mentioned earlier, with the Steam release and console release, like the player base is going to blow up. When you drop normal, you're in a dungeon. Like I dropped Crypt or I dropped Goblin, and 10 seconds later I'm in the dungeon. And if that continues to be the case, I think that it's just a bright future. It's all good. Yeah,
100%.
I
Our
think
best
Iron Mace is
days,
handling it super well.
our best days are in front of us for sure.
How do we feel about drums only for bards, by the way? Sorry.
I think that the throwing drum meta needed to go away, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, unironic.
But it was kind of fun though, right? I mean,
God, it was fun.
It made for
But
some
yeah,
good
it was
content.
it was busted, man.
they
God
could have
damn.
nerfed the numbers. They could have let me at least throw them and do 7 damage. I just want to throw them.
Yeah, I watched your video today where you killed the boss only with drums, and
Oh,
I
dude.
was laughing out loud the entire fight. And at one point, you hit a skeletal archer in the head and it died, and you scooped the drum up in midair and then threw it again. And, oh God, it was pleasurable.
That's high skill cap, dude.
That was a great end of drums video, and I can't wait to make my next one. I've got enough for one more, and you know what's great is now every time I kill a bard, I just shift right click the drum so it falls on the ground, and then I praise the drum. I will always miss the unassailable, unironic drum meta.
I mean, it's like
Also,
they think they stopped it, but I'm just gonna make a bard now. So
You still can't throw it though. You can only
still
play
throw
it.
'em?
You can't throw
Oh
it.
yeah,
No.
I was gonna say.
Oh,
I don't
you
think
can't
can
throw
throw
it?
'em at all.
I don't think
unlucky.
so. No, because your right click is to play it. So unless your left click throws it, I don't
No,
know.
yeah, your left click was always throw, so that
Oh,
might
it
still be a
was?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we might just have to do. We'll have to do 3 bards.
Chat's telling me you could throw. So.
Oh, okay. So
My
the bard
chat's
can throw
also
it.
saying
All
we
right.
could throw.
Very good.
The dream
There
lives.
we go.
The dream lives.
Yeah,
Boys.
the dream
There it
lives.
is.
It's just bard only. We'll have to make a rock band.
coming for that ghost warlord next. We're ready.
All right, should we take some questions from chat?
We definitely should.
You have some? Definitely should.
All right. What do you guys got, chatters, king rats, and rank 1 world mage enjoyers, and arcane armor, just beautiful, probably normal people?
Chat asked earlier, what do we feel about the magic staff changes? Have you messed with it at all yet?
So
Sobi?
good.
Yeah, I think it was really good because it was basically the most unreliable weapon ever. And the only thing is it confused a lot of people because it has magic damage, but it doesn't add that magic damage to your spells. It's just magic damage on the weapon. But it's still really good because it lets you actually fight back.
Are you sure?
It adds it to the spells.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That does not add 5 base to all spells.
You're playing Warlock, so you don't see it on the ticks, but it adds it to the. It's 5
Right.
base.
Yeah,
No, that means you're saying if you use a magic sword that is really high quality, it just has 20 extra magic damage.
No,
on
magic
all
sword is
spells.
different. That's
says
magic
yeah.
weapon damage.
That
Right,
on the staff,
with
it is
magic
magic weapon damage.
No, it's just magic damage.
No, it says magic damage. Yeah. I noticed
Is it
that too
really?
because
So
I
it
was going
basically
book
takes the
shopping. I was
slot of
like,
the book.
yes.
Maybe
Maybe I'm
Yes.
wrong then.
yeah, maybe take the sunglasses off.
King Rat hates casting spells, so I'm done.
I think it was the perfect change for the staff. I still think it's dog shit and the worst weapon to use, but it being the starting weapon, at least it does something unique
Right.
compared to the other weapons. Yeah. So now at least
100%.
if I kill the Lich and I get a legendary staff, I'm like, maybe I could do something
Okay.
with this, but still probably the worst casting weapon. But at least it's better. A
Yep.
step in the
Okay, well
right
then yeah,
direction.
then that's definitely either way, but especially now that you're saying that, it makes a lot more sense. But either way, that weapon needed a boost. I when I dropped my Warlock video, I actually dropped it on the ground. This was pre-patch, and said this staff is useless. I might as well punch things to death with Blow of Corruption, and I did. I punched players and monsters to death until I found a falchion.
It's true.
Yep. Yeah, I dig
So
it.
that
It
that's a really
actually
good
makes you
change
think
then.
twice about getting a crap book. Like, do I
Yeah,
really want to
okay.
roll? Like, do I want the -10 move speed from the book? Do I want that benefit
Oh,
and
you're right,
lose
because
3 because the gray book is 2 spell power, right?
right.
And the default staff is now 5. It's like, do I want to
Oh, that's
lose that
so
3 magic damage base for
okay.
the
Yeah, that's
speed?
actually a massive buff then. That's
That's
like
huge.
like a huge
Yeah.
buff. That's interesting. Now it's funny. Now that I'm thinking back, 'cause a lot of people said you missed the magic staff change in my video talking about the patch notes. At the end, I was like, magic staff hits for more magic damage, and like that was all I really had. But thank God the world rank 1 wizard is here to illuminate me.
I know a thing or two about casting spells, you know.
What'd your chat come
So
up with
chat,
over there, Josh?
so chatter asked. Actually, that's another one real quick. What do we think about hell populated by multiple lobbies? And just to clarify what that means,
Hmm.
after you finish running a crypt map, you take a red portal. You go to a new lobby with other people who have also take red portals, and you're in a full inferno lobby. Whatever number of players it is, I think 9's a good number. But how do we feel about that in general? So you have populated inferno maps.
I have personally never liked that idea. I think that if I clear crypt and if I play well in crypt, if no one else wants to come inferno, then I can boss, because it really does not take a lot to ruin your boss run because the bosses are already challenging. And so knowing that there is a full inferno drastically changes the way you play. It also means basically no one's ever going to get to kill the boss, especially in HR. So I personally I don't like that, but I could see why people would like it, and I would be fine with that change. I would just change with it. But I do think that if I play very well in Crypt and I basically know nobody's in Inferno, then I should get to control Inferno.
And what do you think, Arcane?
So this is very closely related to the topic they were talking about last night with like more in-game content. Like if we get Kuma, if there's 5-man squads, how do you handle that? Do you drop 15 people in a lobby? I think if you do that, then you need to make sure your spawns are almost equidistant from wherever the boss room is, and then you incentivize the players to absolutely shred through the PvE or go try to find the other spawn point if you want to go PvP, but you want to incentivize them to get to the boss room so that they can actually boss. So you put some kind of like they have to get a key drop. Whoever gets the key drop first gets into the room, and then there's a magical seal that prevents anybody else from getting in until that team either wins or is wiped. Or they leave. If they leave the room, the magical seal is broken, and then they could be attacked by another team. But uh, I'm with Josh on this one. I think if you are constantly populating Inferno to the max, it's really going to disincentivize a lot of people to go there. Like I'm just not going to want to take the risk.
I hear that. I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum. I think I'm actually a big fan of populating Inferno, but I don't think you make it a 16-man lobby. I think 9 at max, 6 might be a better number. So it's one squad v one squad, fight for the boss kind of thing.
I
Like,
like 6. Yeah. I like knowing that there's another 3 men and you 3v3 for the boss. Then it's like a Hellgate and Albion or something.
mhm.
And you know factually that there will always be 3, or like let's say 0, but you're pretty positive there's 3. Then I'd be more okay with that. But what does that mean for the top layer? What if 9 people take reds? Like one squad just fights another random squad, and
Yeah,
then
they
or
just go
it's
to
all random?
a new lobby. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
separate.
okay. That I agree with. As far as Kuma goes, I personally feel like we need a PvE experience in this game. I think that this game is the most PvP centric battle royale kind of dangerous dungeon delving situation I've ever been a part of, and this game needs less PvP. we need PvE only experiences so players can learn and have fun, and they don't always have to worry about always fighting people. It is awesome, and I love fighting people, but I'm also really good. And once in a while, I think, especially as far as a PvE raid goes, if it's going to be once a week, and it has like a good drop rate, so everybody in the game can finally have like some good gear, then I think Kuma should be PvE.
Okay,
I
so what
also I
you
like 5v5v5. I like 3v3v3 or whatever, but like we need PvE in this game. Like we 100% need like either to be able to practice in PvE and then not get the gear, or we need, I don't know, we need something like somewhere like they can go into like the tavern keepers monster zooarium or basement or whatever, and you can get like up to greens, and you just go down there and PvE for greens. It doesn't even matter if they get to bring that up, because everybody else is getting vastly better equipment in any other map in the game if they win.
I get that.
uh,
I feel like it might be better for the economy too, because if we were talking about earlier about like squad just locking off a map and they get a free boss every time. At least if they're going into a populated lobby with another at least one minimum squad, that cuts the boss kills in half at least, right? So these PvEers aren't locking it down 100%, at least in high roller. Obviously, you can still run your normals, and maybe the normal lobbies aren't populated. Maybe only the high roller ones are populated to kind of minimize the amount of unique drops. But like the new players could still have their empty lobby or empty high or infernos. I don't know. Just a little side thought.
Yep.
But I do hear you. I hear your concerns. I got to think about that one a little bit.
Yeah, and for the PvE only, I'm leaning towards no. Except you did throw in like if it was event based, if there were weekend events that were PvE only, I could get on board that train. But I'm just constantly Ken said it. Everyone that has been around the games since for any amount of time has always said don't split the player base, and I feel like if you get all the people that are just going PvE, and some people will never come out, that's all they're gonna do, and maybe that's okay, but I just keep hearing don't split the player base, don't split the player base rolling around in my mind. So I don't know.
Yeah, I like the idea of PvE events. Like, what if it's this weekend, the crypt, there's going to be a dragon, and you should got to team up with the other 15 players to beat him because he's that hard. You no way a 3-man can take him on his own.
That'd be awesome. Oh my
Like,
god.
cast a band together to slay the dragon. Let's
Oh
go.
Yes.
wow.
Team
Yeah.
force.
Or like just on a 1% chance, the minute you spawn into crypts, you hear a roar. And like the treasure room where there's normally a bunch of chests and like the wraith and the skeletal champion and all the crossbowmen and whatnot, that is now just Kuma, and he's just sitting there, and like it's pretty much going to take all of you or like a juice squad. That would actually be so awesome. You can just think about it, when you drop in and you hear the roar and you're like, oh, we got Kuma, and like everyone's just clearing toward Kuma. Like that would be hype.
That's a fun idea. I like that.
100%.
Any questions from your chat, Sobi?
Well, so my chat's saying that a lot of people are disagreeing. They think PvE is bad, but some of them are saying if we have a PvE only mode, a lot of people will just stay there.
Yep.
But most of the people that will only just stay there are the people who are probably not going to keep playing if they just get shattered every time they drop into a map. So I think I look at Albion as a large measure of success, and there is a lot of that game that is safe, and you can learn in safety, and then eventually you start risking it, and then you risk it in better gear. Right now, it's like all risk, all the time, always, and there's an element of that that's really fun and really awesome, but I don't know. I have a skewed perspective, so I would like to hear, like, I don't know. I feel like I almost feel like it would be good if Iron Mace would release polls, like poll in the official Discord and say, would you all like to see a PvE only mode that has only up to green drops? And like just like their Discord has like 500,000 people. Like, let's see. How do people feel? I don't know. I would love to know. But my chat asked how we feel about SBMM or like skill-based matchmaking based on your survival rate.
Oh, no. You don't want that. Not in this type of game. I think that would be awful. Why do you think that'd be good?
I don't know. Tarkov has that, don't they?
No.
Oh, well, if they don't, then I thought Tarkov had that. I don't know.
I don't think
Like,
you want. I think part of the beauty of this game is you go into a raid, high roll or normal, doesn't matter. You don't know what you're going
I
against.
know it's the best.
You're like, I'm like, I could be a little Timmy, I could be, and then all of a sudden I'm with big bad best warlock NA so bad range. Probably not going to win, but maybe I will. And if I do, I got
Right.
that story to tell my friends, and that's like a
Right.
highlight. It's a feel good moment.
I
Yep.
have probably erased like 500 people, and then I've died twice now to nakeds in like mixed purples, blues, and legendary. And I know for sure that when they looted me, they must have been like just
Mhm.
like pounding their desk and like I just made 10,000. Like I'm kidding. And I do like that aspect of it. And I like when I kill people who have really good gear, and I'm like, yes, like why were you in normals with this? But I don't know. Yeah, like we said, I don't know. Either
I,
limit the gear a little bit because like the disparity can be like overwhelming.
mhm.
I think up to like let's say up to blues or up to purples and normals only. I don't think that would hurt anybody if you limited it to you can only bring up to purples. That's more than enough to beat the bosses, especially if it's statted.
I hate to beat a dead horse, but I do think a lot of the issues just comes back to high roller has been so bad this early access that all the high roller players have just been playing normals, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
making a bad new player
Yeah.
experience for the newer players. Whereas
Hmm.
if high roller was a healthy environment and all the people that would normally play high roller are playing high roller and not stomping normals, I feel like we'd be having a different
Okay.
conversation.
This
Yep.
is true, and people, like we said, are gonna have a bad taste from this last HR sort of fiasco. But I don't know. Like I did just go Goblin, and it wasn't as good. But I found a portal. I wasn't pressured by the circle as much. In fact, I played Locust for like a really long time, fighting other players. And so, like I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I'll put a delay on. And I'll go back in there for a while and feel a lot better about it. But um, in the past, my HR Gobos was never full or even remotely close. It was like one to five players, and I just had like 9 out of 10, and then an 8 out of 10. So at least Gobos is more full than it once was,
Yeah,
and
it's
I
very
think
telling.
it's in a much better place than it was. I definitely think more time on the clock and more swarm is good.
Hmm.
Yep.
And I mean, I was always a proponent for more blues. Like putting more blues there doesn't hurt anybody. Like it's better that people get out and survive than for there not to be blues. Like it feels bad to not get a blue when you're at end of match.
Yep.
Whereas if there's extra blues, like if PvP is happening, they're not going to get them anyway. And
Yep.
so I always think more portals is better than less portals.
Yeah, Goblin Caves feels a ton better. I ran it a little bit this morning and then this afternoon with my Ranger, and man, it felt good knowing that I was likely to not get verticaled. And yeah, like you said, usually there's only 3 people left. When there's 3 minutes left in the game, maybe there's 2 or 3 people left, and I know there's probably going to be at least 2 portals, and then maybe that the static extract is still there as well. So it feels a lot better in Goblin Caves right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't like the map, like just doesn't I don't enjoy it as much. I do love like the action in there. I love how quick it is. I love being able to get to loot quickly, and I love the PvP encounters. Like it's the best place to go hone your skills if you're a new player. I kind of disagree with what you said earlier, Josh, because I would just press the go button. If you die, just press the go button again. Don't go to the merchant. Just press
True.
go. Go in with
True.
nothing. Go in with
Yeah.
nothing over and over
This is
again. You're
true.
gonna get out. You're gonna get out with 100, 150, and then
Mhm.
you can buy some whites, and you're gonna eventually just increase your extract rate. So, I mean, I have no
This is
issue
true.
with that.
I'm like a big proponent of the mists in Albion, which is a situation where you drop in there with basically any level of gear up to and including the best in slots. And you're basically by going in there, you're accepting the risks, and maybe you get lucky and you get best in slots, or maybe you get equal fights, or maybe you get stomped on, and then like you said, you just go next. And
Yep.
I think that this game employs that really well,
Yep.
because it usually does not hurt to die, and you can almost always have played better. Sometimes there is a big gear disparity, but it does feel really good to eat players in better gear or equal gear. Like you just made so much doing that.
Yeah,
Yep.
rock bottom in this game is way better than rock bottom in a game like Tarkov, for
Oh,
example.
Yeah, yeah,
100%. Yeah.
agreed.
Like rock bottom in Tarkov, I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just wait for next playtest or something or next wipe because it's over for me. I'm not gonna kill anybody with this hatchet. I have no ammo, I have no money, my vendors aren't
Yeah.
leveled.
Especially early wipe. I'm like, well, I lost everything they gave me. I'm pretty much, I might as well, like, this sucks. I might as well reset my account. Whereas, yeah, Dark and Darker is always like, oh well, I'll
Mhm.
just kill a goblin, I'll get like a green weapon. Like that'll be a good start to the run. I
Yeah.
actually was this is a little almost toxic, but I was trying I was really trying to maximize my runs on Goblin. I wanted to see like just what the limits of possibility was for efficiency and time. And I would sprint to Worm, and if Worm didn't spawn, because he only has a 1/3 spawn chance, like 33%. And if he wasn't there, I would just immediately kill myself and go next. And I did that like all night one night. So I was trying to get Worm plus both centipedes plus 2 champions and just see like truly like on best case scenario what you could get. And I
Mhm.
don't feel like I could do that in almost any other game like this.
Right. Yep.
Because you can do a lot when you get good at the game. You can accomplish a lot naked, especially as a barbarian.
Mhm.
You've got movement speed, you've got damage, and you're PvP capable. Like I still personally feel like default barbarian is the best kit in this game. He can go toe to toe with everybody, including geared players. If they misplay and you headshot them twice, you just crumpled almost anybody.
I agree with that. I've been fully geared and doinked on by a Killer Strike Battle Axe before. I'm like, wow, unlucky.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so great to see when it happens because you get a kill strike, and you like if you're really good, you know you have to stand in place. But also, if you stand in place, you're gonna get headshot and you're dead. So like, there's like, my brain goes into like 1,000 IQ mode. I'm like, I gotta move left to it only for like only for like half a second.
Mhm. Yeah, this game, great game.
This game, yeah. All right, Chad. Any more questions? Any last minute questions?
Let's
No.
scroll up, see if I can find something. Did we talked about Fighter, right? Like,
Yeah, we talked about Fighter.
Yeah.
Good
At the
overall. They
outset, we
got
did.
gutted.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little too heavy-handed, but there's a ton of other builds, and it's still a great class.
I like the
At
nerfs.
the end of the day.
I think
Yep.
now there are so many uncharted builds with Fighter that people haven't been doing because everyone's just been doing damage mitigation, spam, tank Fighter, and I think now you could do a lot of other things and you can gear differently. You know you're familiar with Doofer so bad. I don't think Arcane is, but he's been playing a really unique fighter build where he plays Slayer. He wears light
Hmm.
leather gear and he rocks Falchion with the hand crossbow
I love that.
and the side, and he has the regular crossbow on his back. And he's been like, I've been watching him play on stream and Discord, and he's having some really good fights. And this is really fun gameplay that you wouldn't see if Fighter
Mhm.
wasn't nerfed. So just something to think about. Sometimes
Yeah.
nerfs can actually almost make a class not better, but more
Yeah,
diverse.
it's exactly, it's the diversity element, and I'm a huge proponent, especially lately. I've been playing like I've been streaming too much and enjoying the Warlock too much. Like at the start of the wipe, I wanted to make like subclass builds for like everybody, and I've actually had a lot of people ask about Slayer, but it's hard because I like, man, the vampire is so unique. Warlock is the most unique class that we've ever seen added to this game, and I can only imagine Druid.
Yeah,
Druid is gonna be
those
nuts.
two buttons you got are pretty unique, I must admit. I can't wait till they finish the class, though.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, when we get the dark magic tree like that, I think it's gonna need to get nerfed. If I'm being totally honest, like that class is already really strong at all 3 of its subclasses. So when it gets and none of them are finished. So if you give us like 6 or 8 more perks and a darkness tree, I really feel like Warlock is gonna be best in slot. Warlock is gonna be really strong.
I was thinking about pushing Warlock next season. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that yet, but I've been having a lot of fun playing Warlock.
Me too. Me too.
If the fights go long, the Warlock has such a huge advantage. Like the
Yeah.
battle of attrition on that guy is
I
insane.
run. I run from curse locks. Like if they're actually cursing and they're good at cursing, like I'm like I just phantomize and I leave
Mhm.
because I know they're gonna beat me at mid range. And I will say it's much harder to play my Shadow Vampire now that I don't have drums. I have 0 range damage at all now. I can't throw anything. I have no ranged weaponry. I have no drums. Like I have to go to
You got
melee and I
bottles. You got
have to
bottles.
win. Yeah, I got Molotovs, but they're expensive.
They are. They're good.
But they
They're
are
really good.
awesome. They did such a good job with the Molotovs. It looks awful. Like it looks dangerous. Like you do not want to be near those when they're on the ground. It looks like liquid hot magma.
They last a long time too now.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I almost don't like that because I'm way up and I throw a Molotov and I have to cross a field of burning hatred to like actually close with my enemy. And I'm like, I shouldn't have thrown that there. Now I'm just gonna let them
Immediate
reset.
regret. Yeah.
Yeah, immediate regret.
So they nerfed the Shrine of Protection physical damage reduction from 30% to 15.
Big change.
It
Do we
seemed
think they should
harsh.
nerf other shrines?
All of them should be cut in half.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Or I think a lot
All
They make very, very unhealthy gameplay.
They are extremely unhealthy for teams that play intelligently and
Mhm.
map-wise. It's a guaranteed win, or it should be, if your team owns, especially the one by in Crypts when there's the hallway with 4 shrines.
Yep,
Like,
the best high roller squads load into a map. They go to the nearest spawns and they rush the shrines. They go to
and they just
Speed
wait.
Shrine, Protection Shrine, Power
Yeah,
Shrine. They wait until they hear something. They pop the shrine and then they go
they
take
just pressure it.
an
Yeah.
extremely advantaged fight because of it.
Especially if the circle is for them, and then other
Mhm.
teams have to push into that. It's the same thing in Goblin Cave. I have Prot Shrine, and even at 15%, I will always grab Prot Shrine, and then I will take any fight because I know I'm protected.
Mhm.
15% is a lot. Like that, that is a ton of free
Oh, yeah.
protection.
Like
And
I love
there's
just
only
grabbing.
one, so like,
I
I just win at that point.
Yeah, I love grabbing shrines and winning fights because of it. But it's definitely unhealthy gameplay.
It's unhealthy
I
gameplay.
I feel like you could
Yeah.
probably just remove the majority of shrines, like power,
Yeah,
movement.
make them like even 5% would be enough for people to still want to get it, in my opinion. I think 5% is cool. Or do what Diablo does and let's randomize the shrine effect. You don't know what it is when you grab it, and it could be like plus 100 luck. It could be plus 10% gold generation on monster kill. Like there are a lot of cool things that we can do with shrines that will not drastically change PvP.
I would
Yep.
love to see less buff shrines and maybe more health shrines and more maybe clarity shrines, things along those lines,
Oh, clarity shrines.
to get back resources and stuff.
Yeah. I like the idea of a luck shrine too. The randomized effect
Like
would be
that
very
luck
cool.
shrine is cool. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. Good idea. Write that one down.
I'm writing it down right now. That actually is a
Perfect.
good idea. I really like Clarity Shrine. Like that
Mm.
is something that most classes can't use, but that's something that the
But
classes that can use them would really want that. And if they
at
know
least
it's on the
somebody in a
map,
squad could use it. Like a squad
yeah.
of 3 people,
Oh,
at least one
true,
person
true.
could use it.
Yeah, very true, especially for trios. That is a great idea. I also well, I like it, but I don't know if it's good. Invisibility Shrine, which would give you like 50 seconds of invisibility or like 50. I don't know. Actually, I don't want
But
that.
you can't
I
move.
don't
You
want that.
can't move.
I took it off. Actually, invisibility is already like one of the strongest things in the game. The potions already go so hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Phantomize. Maybe a Phantomize shrine would be cool.
Oh,
That's
a family
reasonable.
shrine would be so cool, because then you can't take actions.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so awesome. That's a great idea. That's and people who don't play Warlock would finally get to experience what Phantomize is.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, not only is Warlock a really cool class, but Phantomize is, in my opinion, by and large, the most interesting and coolest skill in this game. That you can
Phantomize
just
is
run
sweet.
through stuff.
I feel like they have to fix the animation on it though. It's a little clunky. I feel like when I press
Yeah.
it, it's there's a bit of a charge up. They could just make
Yeah.
it a little crisper.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
died a lot learning that
100%.
one, but I
Mhm.
almost feel like when I was talking to Grayson, we were suggesting things before the big patch. Like Warlock mains, we're talking about making Phantomize an instacast or an invulnerability frame, but my only thought with that is that it's too strong at that point. If I can swing on them and know it's going to be an instacast, so I can just phase out of their attack, I'm now up in the fight. They're already corrupted. They can't heal. I just have to wait like 6 seconds, and I just stay up the whole time. I don't know. Like it's already strong. Like it is strong. It is clumsy, but like I don't know, man. I pull a lot of monsters onto people, and I just Phantomize, and I pretty much just killed that player, or I'm like way up in the fight now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be. They could definitely do some things to it though, because it
Mhm.
like what I would do is I would obviously fix all the bugs that are associated with it, like the phasing through the earth. If you die while phantomized, you should be able to phantomize out of a trap. I think they should make it a faster cast. Just slightly. What else? What else? I had another one that I can't think of right now. If it comes back to me, I'll mention it. But overall, the ability is really cool,
Yep.
and very
Mhm.
very happy it exists. A lot of warlocks don't use it either. They use corrupting blow.
I mean, corrupting blows.
If you're
insane.
soloing, if you're soloing,
it's so good.
I feel like it's a necessity if you're running solo.
Mhm.
Like if you're in a party, there's a pretty strong case to be made to almost always take Blow of Corruption. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're soloing, especially if you're ratting in Ruins or Forgotten Castle by yourself as a Warlock, especially an undergeared running grays and whites, you have to run Phantomize.
Oh yeah, and just like getting 7 mummies on you and hitting with Curse of Weakness and just like leeching off of them and then running into a squad with your blood bags, your Army of the Dead, and
Yeah.
phantomizing through them. It's actually kind of grief, but It's fun for you at least.
Yeah.
It might be a little unhealthy now that I think about it, but
That's
it is
still
what it
that's
is.
still a pretty niche
Yeah, that's very
situational
niche.
thing. Like, yeah, you're going to a lot of effort to pull that off. A lot of variables have to fall into place correctly for that to happen, you know. But yeah, Warlock's been
We
good.
should we need ruby silver and cobalt weapons, by the way. Just a little side thought.
You know what? My chat
Yeah.
also brought that up, and I meant to write that down. I'm so glad you brought it up again. Cobalt and ruby silver weaponry
Mhm.
crafting. Yeah, I agree with that.
I want my ruby
Um,
silver
it's
red
also
lightsaber sword. Oh man, it'd be so sweet. Oh.
it's I have not been able to find Cobalt Templar armor for the past 2 days. So it's kind of ironic to me that I didn't really want it, and then I learned that it was best installed for Warlock, and now it's all I
Mhm.
want. But nobody's really mining right now because it's end of wipe. But
Oh, I
I
mine.
do you mine?
I always mine.
I haven't seen any for sale, so maybe they're just using it for other stuff. But I think mostly the fighter meta shift really kind of sort of ended, you know, a little bit of the mining empires because everybody was mining because you know there was a million fighters and they all wanted plate.
Oh,
But now
Monday we'll
we
be
are seeing
mining.
different. Monday will be mining.
Oh yeah.
Of Monday, I will be mining. I've not picked up that pickaxe since I played with you all night that one night. Monday, we will be mining.
We yearn for the mines, baby.
Maybe though, like I don't know. Yes, my thing is, at least for me, economically, like I mentioned earlier, like my centipede farm is just I don't see any reason to do anything else. Like that is guaranteed print. They fucking print jewelry. Those things are just like
Mhm.
100-legged jewelries. Each little leg has rings and amulets on it.
He's blinged out.
Blinged out of my mind.
Oh man.
All right, guys, that seems like a good place to draw this to a close.
Maybe
Indeed.
wrap
Yeah,
it
we've
up.
done some good work here today. The next time we chat, the wipe will have happened. We will be 48
Yep,
hours in, roughly. We'll have to peel Ken away from the screen.
it's
Uh,
true.
I don't
just
think High Roller
inform.
will be out yet, so we'll be okay.
That's true. I mean, what was the last leaderboard? How long did we wait? Was it 3 days?
I
Or
think
was
it
it
was
5 days?
it was 6 days, I think.
Oh,
6 days? Okay.
geez. Okay. Yeah.
That's good then. Yeah.
Give
All
us some
right.
time to adjust, get settled in. I love it.
Yeah, we can sleep this weekend and rest our vocals.
Hmm.
Indeed.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you, Scott, as always, for putting this together and pressuring us along, and Nate for coming out to join us with the WR Rank 1 World Wizard perspective.
Yeah, we love
The
casting spells.
legend. Yeah, we hate casting spells. All right, guys. We'll see you for the next one.
Peace out.
Adios.